Hey, welcome to Forest County, Pennsylvania, and the Forest County Outback channel, and the winter that's not. I'm filming this February 27th. We should have at least a foot of snow on the ground, temperatures 20 or less, and all winter this is what it's been for the most part. I know other sections of the country have pretty severe winter weather, but this is it. A few outbreaks of cold and snow, but it doesn't stick around. It's a real bummer for people like me who happen to like winter. Guess I should have moved further north. Anyhow, we are back at Kellettville today, and I filmed here before. We're going to look at the old Salmon Creek Sawmill, and at that time the brush was still high, couldn't see much. I said I would come back on a day conditions were better. This is the day. And this hill behind me is Stony Point. That's the highest point in Forest County. We're going to take a trip up there someday. Not that there's anything historical to see up there, but just to say we've been up there. But today, this is Forest County Outback 18, the old Salmon Creek Sawmill. Now the mill is down at the bottom of this hill, but in this field up here, and you'll notice in the photos that I'll show you, there were houses scattered around up here, and there are several areas that have been leveled for houses, and then there's also quite a few cellar holes and pits up here. There's a pile of stones here, and it looks circular. It looks like this may have been a well, stone-lined well. And then down here is another pile of stone. A lot of apple trees through here. Right, there's things like this pit here. Looks like it was an outhouse, two-holer. And I think this may have been another well here. That's kind of narrow and deep. But there's a few other places across the hillside here. Now here's an area here that was leveled off. Leveled and squared off. And we've got another hole. I'm guessing this was a root cellar, because if you look around here, there's a large area that's been leveled around it. I don't think that was that was a basement. I think this was this would have been a root cellar. I have photos of the mill. I don't have any photos of this area up here. Looks like another house here. We've got a trail here going down towards the mill site. And then over here, another cellar hole. And then down below it, there's this very large area that's been leveled off. And it doesn't show up in any of the photos. You can't tell what it was. I had printed out the LiDAR images for this. That's kind of become kind of a standard thing for me now. And this shows up, but it's be interesting to have a photo of this area, because I'm a little baffled as to what it might be. And the railroad grade, there's a railroad grade right over here, and then this area here was where the mill was. This was the area of the mill down here. Now, we come back, you see that apple tree there standing by itself. Now look at the photo. That tree is where the boiler house was. So you take a good look at that photo, and then look at this area out here. You see the railroad grade in the foreground. That is where over here is where the mill was. The dam was about over here. And then that's skidway. They're rolling logs down over in this area, and then the pond. So let me bring that photo back up again and take a good look at it. Hey, this is the boiler house up close. And then there's mountings over there for the machinery in the mill. So there's our boiler house. And that up that direction is where that photo was taken. And over there, there's some kind of mounting for machinery, and then more down here. So let's talk a little bit about the history of this place, and then we'll look around some more. The history of this mill dates back to 1878. A group of investors led by a guy named Joseph Adamson bought several tracts of timber along Salmon Creek, and they built a sawmill here. Now, they immediately ran into problems. At that time, this was wilderness, and they were relying on stocking the mill by sledding in the winter, skidding logs in the summer, and also floating them down Salmon Creek. Then the finished lumber would have to be transported by wagon a mile down to the junction with Tynester Creek, where they were made into rafts and floated down Tynester Creek. The problem was you had to have enough snow for sledding, and you didn't always have it. And floating logs was a seasonal occupation here. The normal flow in Salmon Creek and Tynester Creek were just not enough to do this year round. And then they had several breakdowns, and when they did, they would have to send out for a millwright. So they were constantly running out of logs, breaking down. Because of that, it became very hard to keep employees. These people, sawmill workers and loggers were in demand, and when things shut down here, they would just pack up and leave, go somewhere else. So they struggled like this for several years. And let's see, what year was that? In 1890, they sold the mill to a guy named Jacob Kepler. And they retained the timberland, and Kepler was obligated by contract to saw a certain amount of lumber per year. He couldn't do it. He had the same problems they did. Finally, in middle of 1893, Teddy Collins bought the mill. And this was unusual for him. He bought the mill, but he didn't buy the timberland. Adamson retained the timberland. But one of the stipulations was that Collins construct a sawmill to this site. That's railroad, not sawmill. So he built a railroad from Kellettville to Ross Run Junction, connected with the Hickory Valley Railroad. This was in 1894 or 5. And that solved the problem of shipping lumber out. However, it didn't solve the problem of stocking the mill. That continued. Eventually, they built a horse tram up Guyton Run, and that helped, but it really didn't like I said, solve the problem. So in 1902, Collins extended the railroad up Salmon Creek and branched off into the hollows, so now they were stocking the mill by railroad. Now they went from having problems keeping the mill stocked, not having enough, to too many logs coming in. The mill now couldn't keep up. In 1905, the Collins rebuilt the sawmill, and that's the ruins that we are looking at today. And planing mill, there was a large yard here with several sidings coming into it. So we're going to look at all that. And the mill ran until 1923. By then, the operations in Kellettville and most of Collins mills were shutting down because they had cut all the virgin timber except for a few isolated tracts. And the mill, like I said, the mill shut down in 1923. The machinery was sold shortly after, and everything demolished. So we're going to take a look around again here and compare what we see to some photos. And that's it. There's the remains of our boiler house. WB on the bricks. WB something else. Okay, here we go. WB steel. Have to do some research so we can figure out where these were made. There's a railroad grade up there. The houses were up on that hill. That photo was taken from over in that direction. And we've got these machinery bases down here. There's pieces of coal in here. Coal-fired boiler. Got some kind of base here. Like cement. Couple bolts. And then you got these bases here, and these are made of, these look to be cut stone. Huh. Maybe they're not. No, they are. Okay, they are cut stone. You would think. Okay, part of it's cement, part of it's cut stone. How it's cut back into the hill here. And this is another, we're standing on another base. And this is where the dam was. There was actually a pool back there. You wouldn't think because this is lower over here, but it's been excavated out. And if you look in the photos, you can see they had a wooden structure on top of it for the log pond. At the face of the dam here, and then right in line with it we have this very large square timber sticking on under the bank out into the creek. And right across there, where that tree is, well, see that stonework there? That was the other end of the dam. And from here it looks like there were some timbers over on the other side of the creek too. You can see the water level here. I mean, this was not reliable for floating logs. I understand they did have some dams upstream, but they had a problem with those washing out. And this is upstream. The dam is right over there, and here we have this pile of stone here. Now on that hillside over there, there's cut stone. There was some kind of building over there, and there's an old road going along there. And it's be interesting to get over there, but the creek's too deep to wade. Another time. There were houses in that over on that side of the creek, so that's worth getting over to explore sometime. I've got a railroad siding coming in here, heading up towards the mill, and this photo was taken from down in this area. And this one. Well, there was a storage yard down in here, and several railroad sidings that came into this area, so they could load lumber directly onto the cars. I haven't been able to figure out where the planing mill was located. So that's it for the Salmon Creek Sawmill. Thanks for watching. Got some outtakes at the end here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Shoot. I screwed up. You know, if this was easy, anybody could do it. Let's try again. And be, okay, did it again. Welcome to Forest County Outback Penn. Jeez. All right. Take 5, I guess. I don't know. Creek, which does not really have reliable water level for okay. Cut. And floating them down Salmon Creek. Well, Salmon Creek does not have enough. Cut.